Hey, it's Ramsey Dewey over here in Shanghai, China. Welcome to another edition of Q&A with the coach. I'm over here at the gym. Gonna work out while I answer your questions. Kill two birds with one stone, hopefully. You're on the double and bag today. So I had a question. Oh, dang, forget the dude's name. But he said, when you are sparring with an aggressive fighter, should you try to humble him? Or should you just leave the match? Or should you do something else? Instead of telling you what you should do, I'll tell you about some things I have done. Most recently, there was a guy came into the gym, nice guy, cool guy, I like him a lot. Fantastic student, and very aggressive in the sparring. He's big, bigger than me, he's strong, maybe stronger than me. And we put on the boxing gloves, we start kickboxing, and he goes at it. He goes at it, right? Because that's how he's trained. That's how he has trained before. And I can appreciate that. I've been doing this long enough to understand that people come from different training backgrounds. Some guys go really light like the ties. Some guys go a lot more intense. This guy was going a lot more intense, putting some pepper on his shots. And anytime I'm sparring with a new student, I am going in there with the understanding that they may not be sparring nice. They might come out trying to fight. What a lot of people do. Now, I don't. I think most of your sparring should be light contact. But not everybody comes up in that tradition. So again, my student comes out hard, comes out heavy, comes out intense. And that's okay, because that's how a fight is, you know, but I'm telling you, again and again, make sure most of your sparring is light contact. Save yourself the brain damage. Make sure if you're fighting, you're getting paid for it. So what do I do with this guy? He hits me with a stiff jab, and I'm seeing some stars because he hits me hard. Kind of surprised me a little bit. Okay. So what do? I clinch with him, put some weight on him, sweep him. Harmless way to impose my will. He's not hurt, he's not injured, he doesn't suffer any brain damage, but he gets the message, hey, this guy is technically superior to me. Okay? And he steps it up a little. That's to be expected. I clinch, I sweep him, put him on the floor again. And this goes on a few times. I can see him wearing out, winding down, getting tired. Because again, I'm putting my weight on him. A harmless way to impose my will, to not get hurt, to control his strikes, to mitigate damage, and still let him know, hey, I've got stuff I can teach you. There are a lot of dynamics here. As a coach, especially to new students who already have fight experience, you know, tough dudes who know how to fight. If it's your first time sparring with them and you do not effectively communicate the idea, I have things to teach you that you don't know, it's entirely possible they may never come back. But at the same time, if you just beat them up, if you injure your students, they may never come back as well. So finding a middle ground can be very important. Years ago, I had this student, he asked specifically for hard sparring. He wanted to fight. I thought, well, you know, it's been a while since I had a professional fight, and why not? So I get in the ring and we spar, full contact. And I'm not trying to hurt him per se, at first. I'm mostly just thinking, okay, he's swinging wild. I'll slip, I'll move, I'll dodge him. I'll wear him out a little bit because again, when people hear full contact, they start swinging for the fences. And wasting all kinds of energy, tensing up all the muscles. And fighting like idiots, basically. So I let him fight like an idiot for a bit, wear himself out, got in there and landed a sharp little right hook on his chin, just enough to wobble him, at which point he lifts up his hands. Again, that's the first strike I landed in the fight. I'm gonna call it a fight because it wasn't gentle sparring. We were fighting, at which point he said, okay, I've had enough. I think that was the first time he'd taken a full contact punch. After that, he never asked for full contact fighting again at the gym. So should you always do that? No, man, there are a lot of ways to handle this situation. There are some mentally unstable people who will come to your gym and they'll want to fight you, and they'll want to hurt you, and they'll want to hurt your students, and they'll want to ruin your business. And that's not good for anyone. Those guys, man, just leave them be. Don't even bother with them. Yesterday, some smart aleck wrote some antagonistic remark on my YouTube channel, trying to get me angry. And I had this thought I would make a joke out of it. And I'm telling my wife the idea of this joke response I would give. And she said, just block this guy. He's nothing but trouble. No good will come of this. And I realized, you know what, she's right. This dude was mentally unstable, unhinged. And engaging in a conversation with him, you know, instead of engaging with real conversations with my actual real viewers who care, who get something important out of this channel, I would be robbing you guys. You know? Just like if some maniac comes to your gym wanting you to hurt people, and you pay attention to him instead of you paying clients and students and athletes, you're doing them a great disservice, so don't do that. Now, I'm speaking as a coach here. What if you're a regular gym goer, you're not a professional athlete, you go to the gym 2-3 times a week, you do some sparring once in a while, and another one of these guys who's also a hobbyist just goes too hard. And he's swinging for the fences, he's trying to take your head off, he's aggressive, he's trying to hurt you. How do you deal with that? Well, number one, if you don't like it, say no. Remove yourself from that situation. If you feel like that is something you can handle and you do want, okay, then that's probably what you signed up for anyway. So that wouldn't be the reason why you sent me this question. I imagine what's probably happening, again, I imagine you're one of those guys who trains a few times a week, spars once in a while, does this predominantly for fun. And it's not just your face that's getting hurt and punched, it's your feelings getting hurt. And if that's the case, if it's your feelings getting hurt, then that's even more a reason to remove yourself from the situation. See, some guys like my student who came in really hard and heavy trying to knock my head off at first. Well, like I said, he's a good guy, and I could see that right away. This is a guy who's going to learn. You know, I have dealt with thousands of people coming in and out of my gyms over the years. Thousands. Pretty good at reading people. And one of the best ways to read people is get on the mat and roll with them, get on the mat and spar with them, because movement doesn't lie. Okay? Now, if you don't have that experience, you're going to have a much harder time reading people. So, what I'm about to say next might not apply. So this student of mine, over time, I could tell he would mellow out. He would get the idea that, you know, the other guys in the class don't have the experience that I have. You know, these other hobbyists and the nighttime group classes available to the public. And so he's not going to knock their heads off. But, you know, it took a little bit of time for him to understand that. Now, I had a student. He came to me after sparring with a guy who was going too hard. And he wasn't complaining that his opponent was going too hard, that his partner was going too hard. It's important to remember your training partners are not your opponents. And we had a chat about that. And I told him, look, it's not checkers. It is the game of violence at the end of the day. So rule number one of all fighting still applies in sparring. Protect yourself at all times. I know I say light contact sparring, especially for these group public classes. Everybody seems to have a different interpretation of that. But as a coach, I make it a point to set the standard so everybody gets the idea. So I get in there and I spar with everyone. Every time. But still, it's not checkers, even light taps, even if I'm just tap, 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 tapping like that, right? That's not going to cause a huge concussive force unless you're totally relaxed and your chin's up in the air and I smack you in the nose, boom, and that could break your nose. So still, protect yourself at all times. If you don't learn the first rule of fighting, why the heck are you training to fight? Removing yourself from the situation. There were these two young women that I trained, when was it? 8, 9 years ago. And one of them went a lot harder than the other one wanted to. Was causing some damage. Let's make up some pseudonyms for these girls so I don't embarrass anyone. Let's call them Sarah, not her real name, and Emily, not her real name. So Sarah is the aggressor in this situation. And she's sparring at a level she feels is safe and productive and intelligently aggressive, but still light enough. None of the guys in the class complain, of course, when she spars at that level, because guys never complain about the level girls are sparring at. Man, they never do. And I remember there was this girl from France who was a national kickboxing champion. I didn't know that at first. And she said, hey, spar with me. And I said, okay. So I'm thinking this is a girl who is at the gym for the very first time, and I am not prepared to get smacked around by someone who actually knows how to kickbox. and she lands a quick 1-2, right in my chin, boom, boom. I'm seeing some stars, I'm like, whoa. Follows it up with some kicks, clinches, throws a knee. I'm like, you know how to fight. She's like, of course I know how to fight. What were you expecting? Because I'm a girl? Well, yeah, because most girls, in my experience, don't have that type of experience. They can be extremely deceptive that way. But even so, men will not complain. You know, even if a national kickboxing champion starts lighting them up and then elbows in their eyes, they will not complain. Because it's a girl. And men just don't complain about that. But women will complain about other women. And men will complain about other men to a certain degree, as long as they have a face-saving exit. So Emily is getting lit up a bit. She doesn't like it. She's getting kicked in the leg so hard it's giving her bruises. She doesn't like it. She says, this is not light contact. And I said, well, go tell Sarah that you don't want to spar at that level. And if she won't concur and adapt, then don't spar with her anymore. And so they spar again. And Emily gets hit again. Emily shouts a few choice words because she's enraged, because she just got injured by her training partner once again. But then she did the right thing, which is removed herself from the situation. Said to Sarah, I'm not going to spar with you anymore. I'm going to go spar with these people that I trust not to injure me. And so, for the remainder of the time that those two young women were in my class, they never sparred together. They trained, they went through drills and all that, but they wouldn't spar. Because they had this understanding. Sarah wanted to go hard, Emily did not. So that's really the big problem. Probably the biggest problem is a misunderstanding of how hard is hard, how hard you want to go. Make sure you are on the same page as your training partners before you get in the ring with them. That's going to solve a lot of problems. Here's what tends to happen a lot with young guys, though. Young guys will go in with an agreement. We're going to go light, right? We're just going to tap each other like this, bro. It's going to be okay. Or we're going to keep our hands nice and open inside the gloves so nobody gets hurt. So it's not like getting hit with a rock inside the glove when we squeeze the fist. It's one of the big differences between light contact striking. Right now, my hands are open inside the gloves, and full contact striking where we squeeze the hand inside the glove to make it nice and tight and solid. So they get in the ring with this understanding, and they begin to paw at each other until one of those young men gets spanked in the nose, hit in the chin, clipped on the temple, and he feels like, wait a minute, that's harder than I was anticipating. I was anticipating like 5% power, but that was more like 10, maybe 15. I'm gonna escalate it to 20. So that's exactly what he does. He's like, I'm gonna escalate it to 30. So suddenly, the other guy starts throwing 30%. And if you're putting any percentage of power in a strike, it's going to do a percentage of damage. So, the other guy's now taking damage, real damage, 30% damage now. And so he's like, what the heck, bro? I thought we were copacetic. I thought we were going light. So instead of stopping the sparring, maybe reevaluating the situation, saying, hey, that's not light contact, what gives? He's like, I'm gonna ramp it up to 50%. So he ramps it up. The other guy's like, wait a minute. He's throwing harder. And everybody has a different gauge what 50% means. So what happens? ramps it up to 100%, and suddenly they're fighting. Now we have a full contact fight on our hands in the middle of the gym. It's a gym fight. Nobody's getting paid for it. They're just paying with their brain cells. They're going to walk out of the ring stupider than when they went in. Nobody wins. And the next time they spar, it's going to get confusing and it's going to get worse. And their careers are going to be shortened. And nobody's happy. And then they write me letters saying, "Coach, I wanted to do light contact sparring at the gym with my friend, but he hit me real hard. What do I do?" Do you know why I started this YouTube channel? To practice becoming a more effective communicator. To develop the talent of speaking and communicating with other human beings. And I strongly recommend that you practice that talent every single day of your lives as well. And start by going to the gym, talking to that dude who's going too hard, being too aggressive, and communicate. Really communicate about what it is that you want. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.
NoGiBJJGear.com is now xmartial.com, serving your needs beyond just no-gi Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, find brand new equipment for mixed martial arts, kickboxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, and more at xmartial.com. As always, use my code Ramsey10 for 10% off everything on the website. Once again, that's xmartial.com. And also shout out to Relx Bit, makers of fine, high-powered massage guns. Link in the description below as well. Oh yeah, I got a discount code for that one too. Not going to leave you hanging dry there.